Hey everyone, I'm Ryan. So, uh, for the longest time that I can remember, there are these YouTube channels where I'm not necessarily sure if you can call these, formats of videos, but these kind of channels that just are very passionate about certain things and they stick to it, but in a very simplified way, in a very real or just raw kind of video format. And I think those are the channels that like I always end up, just watching the most and enjoying the most because there's something about, you know, those channels in particular where it just feels extra grounded, even though it can sometimes be perceived, at least by maybe let's just say a general audience, maybe perceived as laziness. In my eyes, it's more these people are so passionate about what they do that they don't necessarily have time to actually like sit and edit it. They just record what they want to, record and like say everything that's on their mind, and then they move on to the next video. And many of them are not really making it, for the sake of like let's just say making it big on YouTube, but it's just they just like recording what they're interested in. And there have been many channels over the years that have, truly, I guess you could say inspired, but more than anything that I've found entertaining in the sense of there's like this oddly like homely feeling to them, and I don't necessarily know what that is. It's like you're watching like an old friend or like you know something like your like a grandpa, or like when you're a kid, right? Like you're really small and you're watching like an uncle, or just maybe even just like a general handyman workman just doing stuff. It's just oddly interesting when it's not presented in like this super clean and like sterile YouTube fashion where like they kind of have this perfect lighting and all that. They just show you what they can within their actual real workspaces where it's not a space that's meant or made for a YouTube channel, but it's more like they're recording their everyday life, right? And incorporating recording a video with it. And I've always been envious as well of those channels because um I always wanted to do videos like that, but when I first started out on YouTube, which, as you can probably guess by the first upload date of this channel, this is not my first channel, but the first one wasn't necessarily that big or anything either. But it's like a channel that, like many, started off small and wanting to improve quality and editing and all that over time. That even though I kept telling myself that I should not care about views or whatever, again, it was a tiny channel, it was less than 500 subs. Yet, for some reason, like in the back of my head, there was still that like invisible audience member, like just telling me that, like, no, you should use background music, you should do a bit of color grading, you should adjust things here and there. And even for those like simple off the cuff sort of videos, I feel like I was constantly engineering them when I shouldn't have been. I should have just sat down and recorded. And I think that's kind of the main point of why I'm making this video is I want to break away from that bad habit of trying to make things perfect when they don't have to be. Sometimes trying to achieve that perfection and not, really ending up doing anything with it, um, is just not really going to benefit anyone because the amount of time like I keep trying to perfect this image in my head of how this review should go or how a video should be presented, even in my own sense slash style, even if I'm trying to be as off the cuff as possible, I still keep running it over in my head when it should just be done on the camera. Even if you make a mistake, just keep going. Don't think about it. And yeah, I should have done that in the past. And again, the reason why like I'm more apologetic is because there's a bunch of stuff that I have learned slash have that maybe not everyone would have perhaps bought into, or maybe some of the videos are really old and out of date, and some things which are more specific to the region, that I'm living in here in India. And like many times they just never ended up happening because I kept creating, even within the most simplest videos, this idealized version of them when there shouldn't have been. So, uh, most recently, a channel that I've been watching, called, I think, Blackberry Boy, uh, run by a fella named Ravi Saga, who, I think appears to be like, I guess working as a consultant for, I guess, multiple IT companies or whatever. And I'll admit that the reason why I clicked on his channel for I think for the first place was, I think, because he was talking about next to 70, I think, like a ThinkPad. And then I eventually kind of fell down the rabbit hole because again, he in the video, I really love the fact that he was like recording it just like this, right? Like with I think just like you could see that he was wearing no shorts and just like his leg was in the frame, and it didn't bother me. I actually found it more endearing and real, and I love that when he talked about certain people in the video, about who the X270 was going to. Like it was like he was talking to, like he's showing this video to a friend, and like they want a recommendation on a laptop, and I really like that. I like that it wasn't very sterile, like YouTube by the numbers thing. It was like a word of mouth type of video. And then I ended up watching a whole bunch of his other videos, and I end up finding some of his videos actually quite useful, especially when it comes to Linux and some of the more smaller, quirky things about it. And also because, he loves ThinkPads just as much as I do. So yeah, it was a channel that oddly kind of spoke to me, as odd as it is, that a simple sort of, like videos that he makes daily, and like, yes, then they're not meant to be high production, but then one video in particular that I think I watched, part of it I think yesterday and a bit more of it today, where he doesn't rely on motivation to come. Instead, he follows a schedule, and even if he is feeling unmotivated, he still goes ahead and makes videos. And I feel like that is something that I need to do because unfortunately, there is a huge lack of a consistent routine, and I used to be able to manage myself, uh, probably up and until maybe last year. But this year, or perhaps like even, or I think a better way to put it is that last year, towards the beginning, things were different. And I think the reason why a lot of it really changed, and some would say went downhill, some areas much like actually improved, is all because I started taking medication for my ADHD. And initially, I think I already discussed this in a video, but in short, basically I had a lot of bad habits that I was so used to that my brain was telling me that, oh, I'm not doing this like I used to, that means I'm doing it wrong, when in reality what I was doing was actually the wrong way of going about doing it. So yeah. Also, the reason why I'm kind of fiddling around with stuff while I'm recording this is because I'm actually just about to head to work. And what I'm probably going to do is, and again this is another sort of unhealthy habit I used to do and I think I'm going to stop doing it, is I always kind of used to proof watch my videos, and sometimes, again, even these simple like format videos, I still used to proof watch them a couple of times for some reason, and I've kind of decided, you know what, if this, like what I'm recording right now, everything sounds good and fine and all that, from now on, any other videos, I'm probably just going to quickly skip through it, but I'm not going to watch it all the way through. I'll just upload it. I'm not going to think about it. If there are mistakes, and if I did something wrong, yes, that's up to me, but I don't want to think about it too much, because I just want to put stuff out there, and there is especially a lot of, especially tech-related stuff that is long, long overdue, that I really need to talk about. Not really because of, again, viewership or anything like that. It's literally for the people who were like me in that position before buying it, who just couldn't make a choice. Perhaps with this new knowledge, maybe it might make it a bit easier. But, we'll see. Anyway, for now, that's about it. Hopefully, I can stick to this sort of schedule, which I completely forgot. Meant to be a video a day. whatever it is, I want to somehow do a video a day. And even though, again, the reason I never did it in the past is because I kept telling myself that's a bit too much, it's a bit too try hardy. But at this point, I need a routine, one way or another. Even if I have to talk about the most boring thing ever, I will do it because I need to like reset myself somehow. And I don't know. I mean, even if no one ends up watching it, that isn't really a problem for me because I mean, at the end of the day, this channel is more for me than it is for anyone else. And hopefully, I can kind of get back on track with things. And also, I always like video style, um, almost like vlogs, you know? I know vlogs kind of have a more of a not so happy connotation these days thanks to vloggers, but I mean, those like sci-fi movies where there's like a character who goes missing or whatever, and then they have left are their video logs. I don't know. For some reason, I always romanticize that idea. So I guess here I am doing my own version of it. Anyway, that's about it. I should go now because my girlfriend has probably been waiting for me for ages, and I need to go pick her up and then go to work. So yeah. Hopefully, I stick to this, and yeah.